It begins, as the most sacred stories do, at the edge of somewhere you don't remember arriving. You're not quite sure when the dream began, or if you are dreaming at all. It simply feels like you've woken into something very old, older than memory, older than language, older than time. Something that has been waiting, just beneath the skin of the world, for someone to remember it. There is no sky here, not as you've known it. Above you hangs a vast canopy of shadowed leaves, broad, trembling, thick with dew, and beyond them, a twilight firmament of infinite color. Not night, not day, not dusk, not dawn, just a forever between. The light filters through like diluted honey, golden and green and silver all at once, as though the stars above have long forgotten how to be bright, and now only dream of shimmering. The place before you is a forest, but not one from any map, not tethered to any latitude or memory of your world. It is a forest of the in-between, ancient, immense, and humming, not with sound, but with feeling, like something that has waited too long to be seen. You take your first step. The ground beneath your feet is thick with moss, the kind that grows over stories and wraps around forgotten truths. It's soft, vibrant, humming underfoot with the quiet of 1,000 years. Each step you take releases a subtle glow, like the moss remembers you, or perhaps remembers something you carry. The trees are tall beyond reason, vanishing into the haze above. Some split like spiraling braids, others twist in impossible geometry. The bark is not bark, it is living scripture. Etched into every trunk are markings, symbols, glyphs glowing faintly with a blue so deep, it might be sadness made light. They shift as you pass them, not out of malice or magic, but as if they're curious, as if they're reading you back. You feel no fear, no hunger, no sense of time, just a vast, expansive quiet, not silence. No, this place is far from silent. It is filled with the breathing of leaves, the pulsing of spores drifting lazily through shafts of light, the distant echo of water moving somewhere unseen. But more than that, it is filled with a waiting, the kind of stillness found in ancient ruins, in forgotten temples, in the pages of books unopened for centuries. You walk, not because there is a path, but because the forest wants you to. And slowly, as you move forward, you begin to see them. Structures, shapes, memories left behind in the shapes of stone and root. A low wall covered in ivy and strange lichen. A broken archway swallowed by vines. Lanterns made of crystallized fungus, still glowing softly in the gloom. Signs that something once lived here, not just animals, not just trees, but something that built, that sang, that dreamed. And then you hear it. Not a sound, not a voice, but a sensation, like a name you've forgotten calling to you. You follow. The trees part to reveal a clearing. Circular, sacred, at the center, a single tree, taller, older, more immense than all the rest. Its roots spiral out like rivers carved into the earth. Its bark is silver and worn smooth, like polished stone, covered in glyphs that seem to breathe. Above, its branches hold no leaves. Instead, they cradle dozens, hundreds of faintly glowing orbs. Not fruit, not lanterns. Memories. You step forward. The hum beneath your skin intensifies. The forest is watching, not with eyes, but with memory. You place your hand on the trunk. The moment you touch it, the forest sighs, and the world folds. You are no longer in your body. Not quite. You are in the memory. You see skies filled with stars, not pinpricks of light, but rivers of color flowing across the heavens. You see a people, tall, robed in woven light, their faces obscured, their hands always touching the trees. They walk in procession, humming a language of wind and soil. The trees respond, glowing in harmony. Together they form a symphony of life, one where memory is grown, not spoken. You see one of them, a child perhaps, take a seed from the elder tree. They kneel, press it gently into the moss, and hum. The ground shivers. The seed pulses once, then fades into the soil. Around them, a soft rain of starlight falls. No urgency, no sadness, just an understanding. This is how they passed on memory, not through books, not through song, but through planting, through dreaming. You blink. You are back in the clearing. Your hand still rests on the bark. The tree is warm now, pulsing beneath your palm, like a slow heartbeat. You draw back. On your skin, a faint shimmer, a star-shaped mark, glowing softly before fading into nothingness. You step away, dizzy, but calm. You are different now, not changed. Remembered. You look up. The orbs above have begun to glow brighter. One of them pulses in rhythm with your breath. You understand somehow that the forest has shared something with you, not just knowledge, but permission. You may walk deeper, you may see more, but it will not be given. You must earn it through presence, through stillness, through remembering. You leave the clearing. The path, if it is one, winds gently through a tunnel of arching trees. The canopy here closes tight above, and the air becomes cooler, heavier with scent. Not decay, but deep life, like old stones soaked with rain, like the breath of sleeping mountains. To your left, a small creature watches from atop a low stone. It resembles a rabbit, if rabbits were made of mist and light. Its ears are too long, its eyes too wide, but it does not flee. Instead, it blinks slowly and turns away, hopping softly into the underbrush. A guide, perhaps, or a witness. You follow. The air begins to shimmer, not with heat, but with memory. You pass through a veil, invisible, but palpable. The moment you do, the forest changes, or perhaps you have changed. The colors are brighter, the trees hum louder. The symbols on the trunks now swirl as you pass, forming patterns that feel like words you used to know. To your right, a structure emerges from the undergrowth, a large stone circle, half sunk into the earth, covered in moss and delicate white flowers. You step inside. Immediately, you feel pressure, not weight, but intention. This was a place of gathering, of listening. At the center, a pedestal, upon it, nothing. But you feel something just the same, a presence, a story waiting to be reawakened. You kneel beside it, press your hand to the stone. The memory floods in. You see beings sitting in a ring, their bodies glowing faintly, each humming a different tone. Together they form a song so complex, so beautiful, you feel your chest ache. Above them, the tree canopy is alive with stars, real stars, suspended between branches, as if the sky had poured down and taken root. One of the beings stands, approaches the center, raises a hand. A shard of crystal floats from their palm, spinning slowly, glowing with inner fire. They speak. You cannot hear the words, but you feel them. This is what remains. The voice says within you, this is what must sleep until the stars return. The crystal sinks into the pedestal. The gathering ends. The memory fades. You open your eyes. The pedestal is still empty, but you feel the weight of the crystal now, not in your hands, but in your heart. You rise. As you leave the circle, the flowers seem to open wider. The moss pulses softly. The forest is pleased, not because you have taken, but because you have remembered. You move forward, deeper into the folds of the forest dreaming body. With every step, you feel more like a part of it, like something ancient is slowly unfurling within you. Not waking. No, this place is not about waking. It is about returning. And the further you go, the more you remember the way. You arrive at a low hill crowned with stones, not piled, but grown. They spiral upward in layers, smooth and slate-colored, flecked with constellations of white crystal. You run your fingers over the surface and feel a low vibration. It's as though the stone is singing, but so slowly that the note takes centuries to fully form. You sit beside it and wait. There's no rush in this place, no ticking clock, no urgency. Time here breathes differently. As you watch the stones, you notice fine threads, delicate silver strands drifting in the air. They shimmer faintly and carry with them the scent of cold rain and something like memory. The threads spiral together, coalescing in the air, forming a shape. A figure. Tall, cloaked in moss and bark. Its face hidden in shadow. It doesn't speak, but it kneels before the stones and lays one hand upon them. The moment it does, you see the entire hill glow, softly, subtly, like breath beneath a blanket. The figure looks toward you, not with eyes, but with knowing. And then it fades, its form becoming mist once more. You exhale slowly. You don't need to understand. The forest doesn't ask for understanding, only presence. You rise and continue walking. The light begins to change, becomes more golden, softer still. The trees part to reveal a vast glade, filled with pools of still water, each one perfectly round, like the eye of a god gazing upward. The surface of the pools reflect not the sky above, but stars, a different sky, one with 3 moons, with a belt of fire circling the heavens, with unfamiliar constellations that stir something in you. You kneel beside one of the pools, peer in, and see yourself. Not as you are, but as you could be, cloaked in starlight, eyes full of wonder, hands glowing with the memory of things not yet lived. The reflection smiles. You don't remember smiling. The water ripples. You blink, and the image fades. You stand again. Something in the trees rustles, not with alarm, but invitation. You follow. The glade gives way to a narrow passage, where the trees grow so close together, they seem to whisper to one another. Here the air is thick with scent, cedar, jasmine, old books, a heady mix of memory and silence. To your left, you see a staircase descending into the roots. You hesitate, but only for a moment. The forest trusts you. You descend. Each step glows softly beneath your feet, illuminating spirals of text, written in a language you cannot read, but deeply, somehow, understand. The stairs open into a chamber beneath the earth, a vault, but instead of treasures or tombs, the room is filled with shelves made of root and crystal. Upon them, glass orbs, each swirling with light and shadow, each one containing a dream. You step forward, touch one. The moment you do, a story unfolds. You see a being made of wind and leaf, dancing atop a mirrored lake, its movements creating ripples that bloom into flowers across the surface. You see a city built into the ribs of a fallen titan, its streets glowing with moonlight. You see a tower that stretches between worlds, with bells that ring only when someone remembers their name. You let go. The orb quiets. You touch another. This one shows a memory of fireflies forming constellations in a child's bedroom, lighting up the walls with the forgotten map of a world that once lived beneath the sea. Another, a mountain that weeps silver, pouring rivers into a field of sleeping lions made of stone. You stand in awe. Each orb is a memory. Each memory, a story. Each story, a seed. You leave them undisturbed. You understand now the forest is not only alive, it is sentient, not in the way humans think of thought, but in a deeper way, in the way rivers remember their bends, in the way stones remember the footsteps of those who walked before. You ascend again, back into the trees. The air is cooler now, the sky a deeper shade of amethyst. Somewhere above, a soft wind sighs through the leaves, carrying with it faint whispers, not of words, but of feeling. The forest is dreaming again, and in its dream, it remembers you. You step into another clearing, smaller this time. In the center, a ring of mushrooms glows softly, blue and green and violet. You sit at its edge, and feel the memory wrap around you like a blanket. You close your eyes, and drift, not asleep, not awake, just present. And in that stillness, the forest speaks one final time, not with voice, but with knowing. You have remembered enough, wanderer. For now, you open your eyes. The stars have grown brighter. The moss glows gently beneath your hands, and within your chest, something pulses. A tiny spark, a star, long forgotten, now awake. You leave the circle of mushrooms, as the sky begins to shift again, not in brightness, not in hue, but in mood. The deep amethyst above begins to soften at the edges, threaded now with faint streams of turquoise, like liquid auroras drifting through branches that gently sway without wind. The trees seem taller here, thinner and slightly bowed, as though leaning in to listen to something carried on the air. You walk in silence for some time. It isn't the kind of silence that feels empty. It is the silence that follows a story well told. The kind of silence that holds echoes within it. The hush that clings to a cathedral after a song has finished, where the song still exists somewhere in the stone. The forest narrows. The path you do not see, but somehow still follow, begins to dip, slowly curving down into a lush hollow where the trees give way to something new. A sound. At first, it is only the suggestion of water, a distant trickle, almost mistaken for wind or breath. But as you move further into the fold of land, the sound clarifies, it gathers, grows more resonant, more purposeful, until it becomes the unmistakable music of a river. Flowing not with urgency, but with memory, you arrive at its edge, and it is nothing like rivers you've known. It moves slowly, slower than any current has a right to, its surface smooth and glossy, like a pane of smoky glass. The color is strange, not blue, not clear, but a deep, luminous gray that catches and distorts the ambient light. It looks almost metallic, but it is unmistakably alive, flowing gently between soft banks thick with moss, luminous reeds, and lily-like flowers that float above the surface, held aloft, not by stems, but by faint pulses of light from below. You kneel by the water. It does not ripple. Instead, it responds. The moment your fingers hover above the surface, it shifts, not away from you, but toward a delicate rise, like the water is reaching for your hand. It doesn't splash. It does not behave like water at all. You touch it. It is warm, not with heat, but with something deeper. It feels like touching an old book, like tracing your fingers along the keys of a piano that hasn't been played in years. A strange weight passes through your skin, into your bones, and then the river shows you something. It is not a vision, not quite. It is a feeling that blooms into image. A memory not your own, but one you now hold. You see a forest, this forest, bathed in moonlight, that feels thicker, richer. The trees are aglow. The sky is filled with color. The river, wider than, carries tiny lights upon its back. Spirits, perhaps, or messages. Tiny vessels, shaped like flowers, like leaves, each one gently floating with intention, carrying a thought downstream to those who wait to receive. On the banks, figures, tall, graceful, draped in layered robes that shimmer like fish scales. They do not speak. Instead, they dip their hands into the river and let the memories flow into them, receiving not words, but moments, tears, laughs, dreams, each one accepted without judgment, folded into the ever-moving current of remembrance. You blink, and the memory fades. You are still kneeling. The river continues to flow, slow and steady, singing to itself in a voice that no longer needs an audience. You rise and begin to follow its curve. There is no path, but the moss thins slightly here, and the luminous plants lean away as if clearing a way forward. To your right, the trees arch gently, forming a corridor of green and gold, their branches entwined with glowing vines that pulse with a slow, rhythmic breath. The river continues beside you. At intervals, it deepens, forming mirror pools where the surface calms entirely, reflecting not just the forest above, but things unseen. You stop at one such pool, stare into it. The reflection is not your own, or not just your own. You see a version of yourself, dressed in unfamiliar clothing, eyes painted with starlight, mouth whispering words you've never learned. Beside you, others, familiar strangers, walk along the riverbank, laughing, heads close together, robes whispering against moss. You look content, purposeful, a different life, a forgotten dream. You lean closer, but the image fades before you can decide. The river is not interested in answers. only in the sharing of what was, what could have been, what still lingers. You walk again, and then you find the bridge. It is not a bridge in any traditional sense. There are no planks, no ropes. Instead, it is made of woven branches, long since turned to silver. Moss and soft vines drape from its sides like curtains. It rises in a gentle arc over the river, wide enough for only one person at a time. At the top of the arc, there is a tree, not rooted in the ground, but in the bridge itself. It grows from the spine of the structure, its trunk twisted, its branches wide, its leaves a translucent blue that glows from within. You step onto the bridge. The moment your foot touches it, the river stills completely. You freeze, not from fear, but reverence. The air changes. It thickens, becomes filled with a presence. Something watching, something remembering. You move forward. Each step is soft. The tree atop the bridge hums as you approach. Not in a voice, not in a note, but in vibration. You feel it in your chest, in your teeth, in your fingertips. When you reach it, you place your hand against the bark, and again, the world shifts. Not outwardly, inward. You are shown another memory. A village once stood here, on either side of the river. Small, hidden, made of woven homes and starlight. Its people were keepers of the stream. They did not own it, they listened to it. Every morning, they would come to the water, kneel, and let it tell them what had been forgotten. Each house held a single bowl of river water, not for drinking, for remembering. When someone passed on, their memories were given to the river, whispered into leaves, sung into bark, and carried away to this very bridge, where the tree would cradle them in its roots until someone worthy came to listen. You open your eyes. The memory lingers in the bark, beneath your hand. You leave the tree, descend the far side of the bridge. On the other bank, the river continues. But something is different now. It feels quieter. Not less alive, but more still. You walk beside it in silence for a long time, until you come upon the remains of the village. The forest has all but reclaimed it. Vines curling over roofs, moss blanketing steps, roots winding through walls, like fingers rediscovering their shape. But the energy remains. You step into one of the houses. The doorway is intact, a circular arch formed from two trees grown into each other. Inside, the floor is soft, with soil and scattered petals. In the center, a bowl still full. The water is not stagnant. It glows softly, just like the river. And see a memory. A woman, her hair braided with starflowers, singing to a child beneath a wide canopy. Her voice is not heard, but you feel it. It's a song of comfort, of patience, of dreams grown slow and steady, like trees. She looks up, right at you, and smiles. You blink, the bowl dims, but the warmth remains. You whisper a thank you, unsure if it's heard, but knowing it matters. You leave the house. Walk among the rest. Each holds a bowl. Each glows faintly. Each holds a fragment of something once whole. You spend time among them, hours, days, no way to tell. But eventually, you feel the pull again. The forest wants you to continue. You return to the riverbank. The river hums once more. You place your hand in the water for the last time. It wraps around your fingers, and in the depths, you see your own face again. Older, softer, wiser. You are the one who will carry these memories now. You rise and walk. The forest breathes behind you. The river sings beside you, and within you, the memory flows. You have walked long beside the river, and though it continues on meandering gently through the valley like a thread of living ink, the path now veers. A subtle branching, so delicate it could be missed by anyone not listening with the soles of their feet. But the forest guides you, not with signs or arrows, but with presence, with the tug of a breeze that smells faintly of warm sugar and night-blooming flowers. with the tilt of a branch, the shimmer of a moss-coated stone, the breath of the air itself, shifting direction. You follow. The world grows darker, but not in the way that evokes fear. It is the darkness of rest, of meditation, of starless skies, heavy with meaning. The trees here are taller still, their canopies knitted tightly above, letting through only the thinnest threads of twilight. It is enough, more than enough. Your steps grow slower, not from fatigue, but reverence. There's a sensation in the air now, electric but gentle, like the hush that falls before a song begins, and the hush that lingers long after it ends. Then, softly at first, you see it. Light, not beams or shafts or flares, but floating, pulsing globes, tiny, soft, suspended between branches, some close, some drifting high above in the arching treetops. Each one glows with its own hue, gentle gold, muted blue, pale green, deep lavender. They do not flicker, they breathe. You have entered the lantern grove. It stretches endlessly in all directions, a cathedral of darkness stitched with floating stars. There is no wind, yet the lanterns drift slowly, as if the entire grove exists inside the lungs of a sleeping god, rising and falling with each eternal breath. You step deeper. Your presence does not disturb them. If anything, they seem to welcome you, drifting closer, circling gently, illuminating your path like curious companions. Some are no larger than pebbles. Others are wide as your chest, casting soft shadows on the moss below. You stop at one, cup it in your hands. It does not resist. It is weightless, warm, humming softly, and within it, a vision, not of sight but of feeling, shaped into image. A child standing in a shallow pool, laughing as water lilies bloom beneath each footstep. A voice calling them home, gentle and amused, filled with the warmth of old love. The lantern pulses, then dims. You release it, and it floats back upward, joining the quiet dance above. You continue. Each lantern you pass offers a new fragment, not of story but of soul, not memories in the human sense, but moments crystallized into light. You see 1,000 lifetimes blooming in the air around you, silent, shimmering, serene. To your left, a wide platform of woven root rises from the earth. Upon it, lanterns are gathered in clusters, like flowers in a sacred garden. A figure kneels at the edge, not human, not beast, cloaked in bark, draped in vines, their face a tangle of petals and moss. They do not move, but as you approach, they raise one hand and gesture, not toward you, but toward the lanterns. You understand. You step onto the platform. The lanterns pulse in rhythm now, in time with your breath, your heartbeat, your thought. You close your eyes, and the grove speaks, not in words, not in sound, but in color, in scent, in vibration. You are shown a night long past, when this grove was first lit. There were no lanterns, then, only sorrow. A village had vanished, swept away in silence. No bodies, no wreckage, just empty homes. Doorways, swinging gently in a wind that did not touch the trees. And from that silence, the forest birthed these lights, not to mourn, but to remember. Each lantern is a life, not lost, but held. You open your eyes. The figure beside you is gone, but the lanterns remain. You walk further into the grove. Somewhere above, the canopy opens just enough to reveal the sky, black as ink, with stars that pulse in perfect reflection of the lights around you. You realize then that the grove is not simply storing memory, it is mirroring the stars themselves. Every light in the sky has a twin among the trees, and every twin holds a moment. You sit at the base of a great tree, wrapped in spiraling vines, its roots spread like a woven tapestry across the forest floor, and within the hollow of its trunk, a cluster of lanterns glows brighter than the rest. You reach out, and once again, the world shifts. You are seated in a room, round, quiet, filled with soft cushions and incense smoke. Across from you, an old woman with eyes like fading suns pours tea into 2 cups. She smiles. "I wondered how long it would take you to find this place," she says. You try to speak, but your voice is not needed. She nods, places a lantern between you. It pulses gently. "This is the first," she says. You touch it. The room disappears. You see a tree, alone in a black field, its branches alight with fireflies. A figure kneels beside it, pressing their hands into the soil, whispering names. The tree trembles, and from its limbs, the first lantern is born, flickering, fragile, but alive. You feel the names. You feel the grief. You feel the hope. The vision ends. You are back, beneath the tree. The lantern you touched has dimmed. Another brightens. But you do not reach for it. Not yet. The lantern grove is not a place to consume memory. It is a place to honor it. You rise, walk once more. Now you notice lanterns floating lower, near the moss, near your feet. These are smaller, newer, still learning how to shine. You kneel beside one. It flickers nervously. You offer your palm. It hovers above it, glows, and then, gently, merges into your skin. A warmth spreads through you, a sense of trust, of gratitude. It has chosen to be carried, not kept, not owned, carried. You do not feel heavier. You feel whole. The trees begin to part again, the lanterns thinning, drifting higher, fading softly into the canopy. The grove is behind you now, but you carry it still. Inside you, a new light. You do not know its story, but you will, in time. And when you do, you will return, not to give it back, but to let it grow, to become one of the stars that watches from within the forest, ever glowing, ever remembering. You leave the lantern grove behind, its soft light pulsing like a lullaby, slowly fading into the distance. The path narrows again for a time, winding through trees that no longer hum as they did before. Here, the forest quiets in a different way, not empty, but resting, as if it too must catch its breath between memories. The lantern you carry within your chest, a gift of light and silence, flickers gently as you move. It doesn't guide you like a flame. It remembers for you. It pulses not when you're lost, but when you've stepped in the right direction, not in place, but in thought. Soon, the trees begin to thin. You feel it before you see it. The openness, the air lightens, the ground begins to flatten, and then you step through the final curtain of low-hanging branches, and the world opens wide. You've entered a meadow, and it is breathing. At first, you can't quite explain it, but as you stand at the threshold, taking in the impossible vastness before you, you feel it in your skin. The meadow rises and falls, just slightly, almost imperceptibly, like a great sleeping creature beneath the earth, inhaling and exhaling every few minutes. It doesn't alarm you, it calms you. You step forward. The grasses here are ankle high, brushed in silver and ash blonde, moving gently even though no wind touches your face. The colors shift as you walk, from pearly cream to soft moss, then to lavender and dusk blue, and beneath it all you see them. Circles, not drawn, not carved, not unnatural, just there, like rings of age in the earth. A spiral of slightly darker grass that winds outward, forming a gentle labyrinth beneath your feet. You follow one such arc with your eyes, and find that it loops, then fades, only to be mirrored by another ring a few paces out. The whole meadow is composed of circles, some incomplete, some broken by dips in the land, others joined together like petals of a flower. It is not chaotic, it is music. Silent music, etched into the land. You begin to walk forward, choosing a curve that bends to the right. As you do, the lantern in your chest pulses once, soft and low, like the echo of a bell through mist. This is the way. The spiral guides you gently inward. With each loop, the world begins to slow. There is no path, and yet your feet follow as if remembering a dance long forgotten. You pass clusters of wild flowers that glow faintly in the low light, soft oranges, faded purples, silken whites. Some sway toward you as you pass, others simply nod, as if in recognition. Further in, the spirals become more defined. You find stones now, small, smooth, embedded in the earth, at the edges of the rings. Each one bears a symbol. Some are simple, a leaf, a droplet, a crescent moon. Others are more complex. Swirling stars, broken circles, tree branches with many arms. They do not repeat. Each one is unique. You kneel beside one, Place your hand upon it, and in a breath, you remember something that was never yours. You see a hand, not your own, press a seed into the ground beside this stone. Hear a voice hum a melody that has no beginning. Feel the warmth of a sun that no longer rises in your sky. The stone lets go, and the moment passes. You rise, further inward, and the spiral narrows. The curves are tighter, the symbols more intricate. The grass shorter now, and softer beneath your feet, almost like fur, though it is clearly plant. You begin to notice small domes half buried in the soil, not made, but grown. They resemble mushrooms, but shimmer faintly, like moonstone. Inside each, you glimpse movement, slow, rhythmic, as if something sleeps within, seeds. You realize then what this place is. It is not just a meadow, it is a nursery, a cradle of forgotten futures. Every circle, every ring, every glowing dome is a promise, a memory waiting for rebirth. These are not plants, not entirely. They are lives, thoughts, whole worlds, folded into the waiting silence of the soil. You come to the center. It is not marked with grandeur. No monument stands here, just a low stone altar, no higher than your knees, set in a shallow basin of polished earth. Around it, a perfect circle of smaller stones, each humming, faintly. You kneel, not because you are told to, because you feel it. This is a place of asking, of listening. You place your hands on the altar. It is warm. You close your eyes. The meadow speaks. It does not speak in language, not in voice. It speaks in breath, in rhythm, in image. You are shown spirals, not on the ground, but in galaxies, in water, in tree bark, in the way birds fly in storms, in the path of your own thoughts, as they trace back toward childhood. You are shown a woman, ancient, cloaked in grasses, her face lined with kindness and dust. She holds a seed in her hand, glowing softly. This is not a memory, she says, though no words pass her lips. This is a beginning. She plants it, not in soil, but in time. You open your eyes and see that your own hands are cupped, holding a seed, small, round, glowing, not pulsing like the lantern, but steady, still. You rise. The altar does not ask you to leave it, but the spiral does. You step back and begin to walk outward, following a different path now, a mirrored spiral, unfolding in reverse. As you go, the domes beside you begin to glow more brightly. Some crack slightly. From within, small tendrils emerge, not roots, not limbs, but light, memory, reborn, not as vision, but as growth. You walk with the seed in your hands. Each step, the world brightens a little, not like day, not like fire, but like understanding, and the spiral unwinds, not toward an end, but into everything. You leave the meadow that dreams in circles slowly, as if waking from a long, soft memory. The spirals behind you don't vanish. They dissolve, not like fog or illusion, but like music, fading at the edge of hearing. Still there, just further now. Folded away, the seed you carry is silent. Nestled in your palm, it does not glow, it doesn't hum, but you feel its presence like the thought of someone watching a fire beside you, quiet, warm, and patient. A memory of light that hasn't arrived yet. The forest receives you again, but it is not the same forest you entered all those hours, or lifetimes. Ago trees are taller now, thinner. They stand farther apart, as if making room for something. The air is lighter. It smells like ancient parchment and cold wind, not snow, but the place just before snow falls. The sky above begins to open wider, and you notice it without quite noticing it. A slow realization that the canopy is no longer sheltering you. Instead, it is revealing something. You climb. Not at first. Not immediately. The ground slopes so gently upward that it feels like drifting. Only when you pause to breathe do you realize how far you've already ascended, how the sounds of the lower forest are no longer here. No birds, no river, no hush of lanterns in the trees, only silence and stars. They appear gradually, not all at once like the night switch of the waking world. Here, they seep into the heavens, like memory, into paper, one by one, then by hundreds. then by thousands. The sky is vast now, a dome of deep sapphire ink, and more alive than it has ever been. Above you, the stars pulse, not flicker, not flash, but pulse, as if breathing, as if listening. And then, you see it. The staircase. You nearly miss it at first, because it does not rise from the ground with declaration or shape. It unfolds. A glimmer in the dark, a shimmer across the slope, a suggestion of silver embedded in the air itself. Each step appears only when you approach, not summoned, but remembered. You take the first one, and feel the world shift beneath your feet, not the earth, but the space around it. Like stepping into a new tone, a different chord. You pause. The wind wraps around your shoulders. It is not cold. It is the feeling of ancient stories, the ones told without words, around fires that never burned wood, only memory. You take the next step, and the next. Each one lights faintly beneath your foot, a breath of glow, a pulse, and then stillness. The staircase curves gently as it rises, threading between trees that now resemble pillars, tall, white, etched with star script. They lean in closer the higher you go, as if listening, as if remembering you. Halfway up, you pause, not from weariness, but because something asks you to. You look back. The forest spreads below like a sea of shadowed green, lit only by the memory of places you've walked. Tiny glows pulse far beneath. The lantern grove, the river, the altar rings, the spiraling meadow, each one distant, soft, like constellations on the floor of the world. And then you see something new. The staircase does not merely rise into the sky, it threads through it. Above you, not far now, a great platform floats. It is not stone, not wood. It is made of woven air, starlight bound in gentle strands, holding shape like spider silk, glistening across a dream. You continue. The staircase curves one final time, and you arrive. The platform welcomes your feet without sound. It is wide, the size of a garden, or a sacred plaza long forgotten. At its edges, nothing. Just open air and stars, stretching endlessly in every direction. There is no wind here, no chill, just space, alive, vast, filled with quiet. And in the center of the platform, a well, circular, shallow, rimmed with soft, iridescent stone that glows only when you touch it. You kneel beside it, peer in, expecting depth, expecting water, but there is only sky. Within the well is a reflection, not of you, not of stars, but of a place you've never been, a city among clouds, towers grown from crystal, bridges of light, beings made of song. You see a library with no walls, shelves suspended in air, tomes floating, pages whispering in forgotten tongues. You see a field where stars fall like rain, and children catch them in their hands, like petals. You see a staircase, just like the one you climbed, but it rises from another world entirely, a world you do not recognize, but which remembers you. You blink. The images do not vanish. They change. Now the well shows a great tree, one unlike any you've seen before. Its branches spiral not up, but outward, forming a great wheel across the sky. From its tips, stars dangle like fruit. And then, the well goes still. A light rises from its center. Not fast, not bright, just steady. It rises into the air above the platform and begins to unfold. You stand, watch. The light forms a shape, not a person, not a creature, but a constellation, a diagram. A memory of stars, and in it, your path. Not as you walked it, but as it was meant to be walked. You see yourself in the lantern grove. You see yourself kneeling at the spiral altar. You see the seed in your hand, the glow in your chest, the stone beneath your palm, the echo of bells beneath soil. Every step, a note in a song that has no beginning. The light pulses once more, then dissolves into the sky, and suddenly, you understand. This staircase was not built, it was remembered. Each person who walks it, walks a different path. Each step you took, you made real, not just for yourself, but for the sky. It is watching, not to judge, to learn. You sit at the edge of the platform, look out across the star field, and breathe. The seed in your hand pulses once, the glow in your chest responds, and something in the sky moves. Not fast, not dramatic, But one star, one tiny light, changes. It shifts just slightly in color. It is now yours, a new star, born not of fire, but of memory. You lie back on the platform, and for a long time you say nothing. You do nothing. You are not waiting. You are being. And somewhere beneath you, the staircase waits for the next soul to remember its first step. The sky, vast and infinite above the platform, pulses one last time in acknowledgement. Not a farewell, not an invitation, but something else entirely. A breath let go. A page turned. You rise slowly, still carrying the seed, still glowing with the lantern's quiet warmth in your chest. The path forward does not appear. You simply begin to walk, and the world folds around you. The first thing you notice is that your footsteps make no sound, not because the ground is soft, but because there is no ground at all. The sky has not disappeared, and yet there is a sense of interiority now, as though you've stepped into the hollow between thoughts. The edges of your vision shimmer, bending gently, like light refracted through ancient glass. Around you, fragments begin to appear, floating gently in the air, suspended like feathers in water, a staircase made of stone, broken in the middle, yet still standing, a column wrapped in vines, upside down, a wall, hovering on its side, etched with glyphs that bleed golden mist from their edges. These are not ruins in the traditional sense. They are drifting, pieces of a place that once was, not destroyed, but disassembled by the slow hand of time's forgetting. You step carefully. Each step lands on something real, a slab, a root, a bridge. But these too shift slowly, rearranging as you move. Nothing threatens you. The landscape responds to your presence, like a memory recognizing its source. You're not just walking through these ruins, you're reassembling them. Something distant hums, a low, vibrating tone that deepens and widens the more you focus on it. It's not music, not yet, but it holds the shape of music, like the memory of a song on the tip of your tongue. To your left, a doorway appears, not built into anything, just a doorframe, simple wooden, carved with tiny stars that shimmer faintly. You pass through it, not because you must, but because it feels familiar. As your foot crosses the threshold, the scenery shifts again. The ruins draw nearer, more coherent. What was once drift becomes a kind of cohesion. You are no longer surrounded by isolated fragments, but by the skeletal remains of a vast city, one that once stood not on ground, but upon dreams. Towering arches curve overhead, strung with ivy that hangs in impossible loops, pulsing softly with bioluminescent spores. Walls are etched with imagery, a procession of hooded figures carrying light in bowls, a great beast curled beneath a tree that weeps stars, a child planting a tower into soil. None of these are literal. You feel that immediately. They are metaphors, living ones. Here, stories were not written, they were built. You walk through what must have been a corridor, broken now, open to sky, one wall leaning outward into the void. Beneath your feet, the floor is still solid, a mosaic of spirals, rivers and stars crafted from smooth stones, worn smooth by footsteps of people long gone. Or perhaps, people who never were, but were dreamt so vividly, they left echoes behind. Ahead, a structure floats, vast and circular, like a bowl turned on its side. From its base, roots trail downward into nothingness. Above it, a slow-turning orb of crystal hovers, shedding beams of shifting color into the hollow beneath. You climb a broken stairway that leads toward it, the stones assembling themselves just barely ahead of your feet, humming with ancient purpose. When you reach the top, you understand what this place is, a temple, not to gods, to memory. The central chamber is open, no walls, no roof, just a ring of standing stones that pulse with stories. At the center, a plinth, upon it, a mirror. You step forward, look into the mirror, but it does not show your reflection. It shows all of them. The places you've walked, the grove of lanterns, the seed circle of the meadow, the silver-veined staircase through the sky, all layered, all present, all now, and in the center of them, a flicker of a structure just like this one, this ruin, this temple. You realize then, this place does not float because it is broken. It floats because it was never anchored. It was always meant to drift, to appear when remembered, to assemble itself around those ready to understand it. You reach forward, touch the mirror. The moment your fingers graze its surface, the light from the hovering crystal above floods the chamber. Everything stops moving. The ruins, the platforms, the stones, the drifting corridors, all pause. The wind halts. The hum silences. Even your breath stills. You are held in the heart of a frozen dream. And then, the temple speaks. Not in language, not in voice, but in architecture. The stones at the edge of the circle begin to glow one by one, revealing images, no, moments. You see a woman with silver hair, weaving words into cloth. A child planting lanterns along the back of a sleeping dragon. A city folding itself into a book, closed by a single hand. A staircase being remembered into existence by a gathering of stargazers. A seed glowing in the palm of a sleeping soul. You see your own footsteps traced across the ruins, looping endlessly, never linear, always returning. The temple breathes again. Movement resumes. But something within you is now anchored. The seed in your hand glows. The first time it has done so since the meadow. The lantern in your chest answers. And above you, the crystal orb begins to descend. It does not speak. It simply opens. Not physically, but in presence. And from within, something emerges. Not an object, not a being, a memory, but this time, yours. Not in fragments, not in metaphor, but a single moment, long buried. You see yourself, very young, watching clouds pass over a ruined tower in a field. You remember thinking it looked like a story halfway told, and you remember wanting to finish it. You had forgotten that, but the ruins had not. They remembered you. They had waited for you to return, and now they offer something back. A single stone lifts from the floor of the temple and floats toward you. It is marked with a spiral, like the ones in the meadow, but made of glass, not stone. Within it, a galaxy, slowly spinning. You take it. It pulses once, then becomes still, not dead, planted. Somewhere within you, a new place begins to grow, not visible, but very, very real. The ruins begin to fade, not collapse. Fade, like mist at dawn. They were never meant to last. They were meant to remind. And they have. You find yourself walking again. The path beneath you is stone, but only briefly. Already, the forest returns, and in your hand, the glass spiral hums. Within you, the seed glows steady, and far above, one more star has begun to drift. You do not walk out of the ruins. You are gently carried from them, not lifted, not blown, not like a gust sweeping through trees, but softly moved by something broader, vaster, like a river of air, remembering the shape of your presence. Each footstep touches solid earth, but the world around you is beginning to loosen again, like a dream rearranging itself before you wake. It begins as a whisper, not a voice, not language, just movement. The way tall grasses bend before something approaches. The way the branches above you lean into one another with the slightest sigh. The way your own hair lifts from your shoulder, as if someone is brushing it back gently with unseen fingers. The wind has arrived. It's not cold, not harsh. It's warm, not in temperature, but in feeling. The wind knows you, not your name as others speak it, but the one you were given before sound. The one that lingers in your bones when you are quiet. The one that hums in the back of your breath when you look at stars and forget what you were trying to remember. The path now opens wide, not a clearing, but a high plain, edged by low hills that rise and fall like the backs of sleeping giants. The grass is soft here, golden green and thick, rustling even when the air is still, and the wind moves through it all, in circles, in waves, as if it has never truly stopped moving. You begin to walk. With each step, it grows stronger, not louder, not fiercer, but more itself. You feel it brushing past your ears, like a voice almost formed. You feel it curling around your wrists, not to pull, but to accompany. It is not guiding you, it is walking with you. You crest a hill, and the world expands before you. a vast valley of standing stones, tall, elegant, weathered by centuries of breath and silence. Some lean toward each other, forming arches. Others spiral upward in slow twists. Some are broken, their halves resting meters apart. And some, the oldest ones, hover inches above the earth, floating, unmoving, wrapped in loops of wind that glow faintly in the air around them. You descend into the valley. The wind thickens here, not into storm, but into presence. It carries not just air, but memory. And then it speaks, not in your ears, not in your head, in your lungs. Your next breath feels like a sentence, a shape, and for the first time, you remember what it means to breathe with a name. It's not a word, not a title. It is a sound that matches the rhythm of your steps, a song without melody. You touch one of the stones. It hums, not like the trees, not like the ruins. This hum is softer, almost shy. You lean in, and as your breath brushes its surface, it responds, forming a ripple across its body that spirals upward, catches the wind, and drifts into the air above. The wind catches it, and the sky responds. A small gust swirls toward you, and within it, laughter, your own, but not recent, younger, softer. From a time you've forgotten, in a place that no longer exists in the waking world, a memory rides the wind and brushes past your skin. A moment of joy, a hill, a kite, a voice calling your name not to summon, but to celebrate. Tears form in your eyes, without sorrow. You sit at the base of the stone, and the wind gathers. Around you, the other stones begin to pulse, faintly, each one releasing a thread of memory, scents, sounds, glimmers of half-lived moments. This is not a graveyard. It is not sacred in the way that asks for silence. It is sacred in the way that invites listening. You stay there for what could be minutes, or could be lifetimes, and the wind tells you stories of others who came, of names long lost to the world, but still etched into the breath of the valley. You learn that the wind is not a force. It is a keeper. It does not remember in detail. It remembers in feeling, in motion, in the curve of a sound as it passes through tall grass, in the vibration of a song sung by one voice 1,000 years ago. Eventually, you stand, and the wind lifts with you. Not to urge you on, but to say, I remember. As you move through the valley, more stones align before you, not in rows, but in spirals, in waves, in the arc of a gesture not yet made. You follow their arrangement and reach a new center. Here, the wind thickens again. It moves in a perfect circle, not rushing, not fierce, just constant. A slow vortex that hums like a heart. At the center, a pedestal. On it, a mask, carved from something like bone, but too smooth, too light. The edges shimmer with color that shifts in the light. Not metallic, not soft, but something between breath and moonlight. You pick it up. It hums in your hand. Not like the stones, not like the lantern, not like the seed. This hum is a mirror. You raise it to your face, and the wind stills, the valley stills, everything, for a single moment, becomes quiet, and then, slowly, sound returns. But this time, it is your voice, not aloud, not spoken, sung by the wind, carried through every blade of grass and ripple of air. You hear your name, not your given one, the real one, the one this world has always known you by. The wind sings it once, then once more, and again softer, until it becomes part of the valley again, indistinguishable from the rustling grass, from the movement of breath. You remove the mask, and in your hands, it dissolves, not lost, returned. You now carry your name with you, no longer forgotten. The wind begins to move again, not with you, not for you, but alongside you. It will always carry your name now. And someday, when another traveler walks through this place, it may whisper that name to them, not as a warning, not as a memory, but as a promise. You leave the valley. The wind wraps once more around your shoulders, soft and knowing, and far behind you. The stones begin to hum again, not because they miss you, but because they've remembered you, and they will carry your echo into the next wind, and the next. The first sign that you've reached the edge of another forgotten place is not a shift in sound, but in gravity. Not the downward pull of weight, but its opposite, a subtle lessening of pressure in the air, like the world is exhaling, and you are caught inside that long, slow breath. You crest a slope covered in silver grass that shivers as you pass, curling inward and closing behind your footprints. The hill is round, perfect in shape, like the shell of something that once held stars. At its peak, the sky widens into clarity. There is no forest here, no ruins, no river or stone, only sky. And then you see it rising just beyond the hill, revealed all at once in a sweep of silence. The observatory. It is not built like the towers or sanctuaries of the world below. No hard lines, no symmetrical walls, no domed roof. It seems to have grown from the hillside itself, a spiral of smooth stone, curved open like the unfurling of a scroll or the chamber of a conch. The material shimmers faintly, the color of moonlight on snow, soft and pearlescent. You can't tell if it's wet or simply remembering water. You walk toward it. There is no door. The observatory accepts you. The spiral opens wide at the bottom and narrows as it curves upward, an inward path that somehow ascends. As you move deeper into its coils, your footsteps fall softer, not because the stone is different, but because you are. The silence here is not empty. It is alive. Each footstep echoes once, then vanishes completely, as if absorbed. You reach the center of the spiral, an open platform facing the sky, a circular space, smooth and wide, with no roof and no furniture. Only a ring of low stone pedestals placed at intervals around the edge, and a single bowl at the center, carved directly into the floor. Inside it, still water. You walk to it, look in, and the moon looks back. Not one, but three. Suspended in the sky above, glowing in perfect alignment. One high and vast, one small and pale, one fractured and ringed in a halo of dust. They do not move. They wait. This place was not built to study the moons. It was built to listen to them. You sit beside the bowl and breathe, and the silence deepens. Not around you, within you. You feel a soft wind pass overhead, not from earth, but from the sky. And with it, the first whisper arrives. It's not a word, not a sound. It's a memory. You see a person kneeling in this very spot, a long time ago, or perhaps much later. They are holding a small glowing crystal, in one hand and in the other a mirror. They tilt the mirror toward the moon, and it pulses, not brightly, but with recognition. And then, a voice, a child's voice, laughter. The person looks up and smiles. You do not know them, but you know that they too came here seeking not knowledge, but reflection. The memory passes. You rise and walk to the edge of the circle. Each pedestal is carved with a different symbol. The first, a crescent inside a circle. The second, a spiral of stars. The third, a cracked orb. The fourth, a bird with moons for eyes. The fifth, an open hand, cupping light. Each one is faintly glowing. Each one holds a piece of something, a memory of a moon, not as it exists now, but as it once was seen. You place your hand on the first pedestal. The world bends, the moons vanish, and in their place, a sky you do not recognize. Purple, thick with mist and light, shimmering with color. You stand beneath a single massive moon, low in the sky, glowing gold, its surface swirling like liquid. You are not yourself. You are someone else, older, robed in silver, holding a staff of woven branches. You raise the staff, and the moon hums. You close your eyes. When you open them again, you're back. The pedestal dims. The second glows brighter. You place your hand on it. This time, there is no image, only sound. A low hum, then a rhythm, then music. Unlike anything you've ever heard. The music of a moon, circling slowly above a field of sleeping beings. They are not dreaming. They are the dream. The moon sings to them, and in return, they release clouds of light into the air, like spores of memory. The sound fades. You step back. Each pedestal, each symbol, each glow, they're not about the moon. They are echoes of what the moon has seen. You realize that the moons are not watchers. They are mirrors. Silent mirrors that remember without judgment. They have seen every beginning, every return, every breath taken in love and fear and silence. You return to the center bowl. The water is no longer still. It's spinning now, slowly, within it, reflections that don't match the sky. You see a temple of glass above the clouds, a city that rises and falls with the tide, a child holding a sphere that contains a smaller moon, a person, you kneeling at the edge of a pool, whispering to the sky. You whisper again, not a question, just your name, the one the wind taught you, and the water stills, then glows, and from above, the moons begin to move. Not quickly, but with purpose. They begin to turn in perfect harmony, and with them, the air changes. A soft wind circles the observatory. Then a voice, a real one, yours, but not as you are now, as you were, as you will be. It says we are not meant to carry time. We are meant to remember it together. You rise. The moons pass overhead, and from one, the smallest, something begins to fall, not quickly, like a feather, a single speck of silver dust, drifting slowly down through the open sky. It lands in the bowl and dissolves. The moon still, the glow fades, but the silence remains. You leave the observatory slowly, not because the moment is over, but because you are full, not with answers, but with stillness, the kind only the moon can give, the kind that doesn't end, only echoes. The moment you leave the silent circle of the observatory, the air begins to thicken again, not with fog, but with presence. The world around you no longer hums or rustles, it exhales, everything softens. The stars above stretch longer, like smudges of candlelight, and the horizon folds in toward you like the turning of a slow page. The path ahead is no longer a trail. It's not something carved into the land or worn by the feet of those who came before. It is simply remembered, and you walk it, not with urgency, but with that same patient rhythm the forest once taught you, the rhythm of spirals, of circles, of echoing footsteps, mirrored through time. Before long, the sky shifts again, not in color, but in intention. What was once a canvas of silent stars now ripples slightly, as if breathing. Clouds gather slowly, not above you, but beneath the horizon, drifting low to the ground like rivers of folded thought. And there it is, the bridge. It emerges slowly, as though unsure whether it should remain hidden. At first, it appears as mist winding in a long arc between two low ridges. But as you approach, the mist solidifies, not into stone or wood or rope, but into something softer, a woven structure, wide and shimmering, suspended above a deep valley that you cannot fully see. There are no supports, there are no railings, there is no beginning, no end. The bridge simply is. It hums beneath your feet, the moment you touch it, a resonance that begins not in your ears, but in your chest. The hum does not vibrate, it remembers. You take a step, and the valley below responds. The mist beneath the bridge shifts gently, revealing flashes of image, like watching dreams swirl through shallow water. A child's hand reaching for a book that never existed, a door opening into a sunlit hallway never walked, a field of wild flowers bending in wind that never blew, a garden shaped like an hourglass, a staircase that forgets how to end. Each step forward stirs the mist, and each swirl brings you a memory, not always yours. Sometimes the bridge dreams for someone else, and simply lets you witness it. You take another step, and the world changes again. The air around you bends, curling inward and outward at once, like breath caught between inhale and release. You are no longer walking in the present. You are walking between layers of thought, of selves, of possible yous. To your right, a flicker of a version of you standing beneath a golden tree, laughing with someone whose face is made of stars. To your left, a version of you reading a letter written in a language that doesn't exist in the waking world. Ahead, nothing but more bridge, more mist, more quiet knowing. You pause. The bridge does not. It moves for you now. Each plank beneath your feet shifts as you remain still, rotating, folding gently like pages of a slow book. It carries you without movement, without sound, through memory. And then, a door, freestanding, alone on the bridge, not blocking your way, not inviting you, simply waiting. You reach out and open it. There is no room inside, only wind, and the soft sound of someone humming. A lullaby. You recognize it, not from your childhood, from someone's. You do not enter the door, you simply close it, and when you turn, the bridge has changed again. You are now walking beneath it. You do not know how, but the structure above you ripples like fabric stretched between stars, and you walk along a mirrored surface that reflects not sky, but selves, past ones, forgotten ones, almost wers, might have beens. One stops and turns to look at you. You stop too. There's a moment of silence between you. Not tension, not fear, just a quiet, shared breath. You raise your hand. They raise theirs, not in greeting, in farewell, and they vanish. The bridge pulls upward again, and you rise back to the surface. You are walking forward now. The mist thickens once more, but this time it lifts, slowly peeling away, to reveal a vast moonlit structure at the end of the bridge. It is not a temple, not a palace, not a home. It is a place made of arches, spirals, soft lights, and memory. The wind here tastes of jasmine, smoke, and rain-soaked books. You step off the bridge and onto the threshold. Inside, a single room, circular and infinite. Walls that curve upward into nothingness. Windows without glass, books without spines, chairs without weight, and a hearth that burns not with flame, but with the soft light of collective thought. A figure sits beside it. You do not see their face. They are cloaked in moss and star thread, their skin like worn parchment and sky. They do not speak, but they raise a hand, and the bridge behind you vanishes, not destroyed, returned. You sit beside them. They hand you a scroll, blank. You unroll it, and across the surface, slowly, your journey begins to write itself, not in ink, in light. Circles, glyphs, soft silhouettes of trees, spirals of river, a tiny lantern, a staircase remembered into sky, a stone seed pulsing beneath soil, a name carried by wind, and the bridge itself, long, winding, glowing faintly, curling like a dragon in slumber. The scroll hums in your hands, and the figure beside you nods once, then disappears. The scroll folds inward, becomes a seed. Again, you place it beside your other seed, and it glows, not for the bridge, for what comes after. You step back outside, and the world is different. You are different, not changed, reconnected. The bridge remains, somewhere behind the sky, somewhere between thoughts. And someday, when the world needs to remember how to cross from dream to dream, it will find the shape of it again, because now, it lives in you. The moment the dreaming bridge vanishes behind you, the world holds its breath. The air is heavier now, not oppressive, but denser, like deep water. The stars no longer scatter wildly above you. They have begun to gather again, curling inward like petals, drawing to a center. The wind is still here, but it does not move. It waits. You are walking a path you do not see. And yet, with each step, you feel a subtle sense of descent, not downward, inward, as if the landscape is folding around you, layer by layer, soft and slow. It begins with the light. The ambient glow of the world dims, not to darkness, but to a deep, velvety twilight. Shadows stretch longer across the grass, and your own reflection in the air becomes lighter, fuzzier, less certain. Then the sound, the rustling of distant trees, the hum of unseen creatures, the whisper of memory, all of it pulls back, like waves retreating into a deeper tide. All that remains is your breath, and beneath your breath, something listening. You pass through a grove where the trees do not grow. They lean, each one curves gently toward the same point in the distance, as if pulled not by gravity, but by knowing. Their branches hang like arms reaching through sleep, and as you pass beneath them, they release small motes of gold into the air. drifting spores glowing faintly, pulsing once before fading. They are not falling, they are remembering. At the edge of the grove, the earth opens, not dramatically, not like a mouth or a wound, just a quiet shape, round and patient, an arch in the hillside, almost overgrown, as if the world tried to hide it until you were ready. You step toward it, and the moment you cross the threshold, the silence becomes alive. The tunnel slopes downward, the walls are made of stone and soil, and something older than both, perhaps root, perhaps time itself hardened into form. Carvings line the walls, faint and weathered spirals, lanterns, bridges, eyes. You recognize all of them, not as symbols, as moments. You walk deeper. There are no torches, no flames. The light comes from the walls themselves, glowing gently with your presence, responding not to touch, but to memory. You pass through a narrow passage where the ceiling dips low. You must bow your head. It feels right, and then the tunnel opens, and the chamber breathes. You have arrived. It is vast, but not grand, high-ceilinged, but quiet. The space does not demand reverence. It offers it. A circular room, carved directly into the earth's memory. The walls curve inward like the inside of a bell. The floor is smooth, etched with wide rings, one inside the other, forming a pattern that loops endlessly toward the center. At that center, a single flame. No fuel, no wick, no vessel. Just fire, hanging in the air, motionless. You walk slowly toward it. The chamber does not echo, it listens. Every step lands like a question. The earth remembers how to answer. When you reach the center, you sit, not because you are tired, because this is what one does in the presence of the last remembering place. The flame glows softly. It does not flicker. It pulses, slow and wide, like breath, and you begin to feel something you have not yet felt. Not joy, not sorrow, not fear. Returning, as if the pieces of you left behind at the river, at the altar, at the bridge, have found their way back to this place. And they arrive quietly, settling around you like soft feathers, or like names whispered in the dark. You do not speak, but the flame does. Not aloud, not in thought, but in feeling. You are shown a small room, filled with half-remembered books, where a child drew maps of worlds they thought were imaginary. A hill, where someone once told you you'd never be enough, and where the wind carried away that voice forever. A silver coin tossed into a well, where you made a wish you forgot, but the well did not. A dream where you were lost, but never afraid, because the trees knew your name, even when you did not. The flame pulses again, and then you see the chamber, empty, dark, long ago. You see a figure enter, cloaked, quiet, made of dust and dusk. They carry something in their hands. A lantern, a seed, a name. They place them at the center, and then they sit. As you sit now, the chamber lights for the first time. You realize you have always been returning to this place. Across every life, every world, every version of you that ever dared to walk beyond the forest's edge, or look into the sky too long, or believe in the sound beneath silence. This chamber is not the end. It is the root. It is where all things begin to remember why they were ever told. You rise slowly. The flame remains, but its glow follows you, not behind you, within you. The seed you carry pulses. The lantern in your chest warms. The scroll in your pocket breathes. And far above, beyond earth and star and wind and water, a new path begins to unfold, not outward, upward, toward something not final, but whole. You step beyond the chamber beneath all endings, and you do not look back, not because you forget, but because what waited there now lives within you. The lantern still glows in your chest. The seed still pulses in your palm. The scroll, now curled tight like a sleeping animal, breathes slowly against your ribs. The earth underfoot begins to curve gently upward. Not a climb, a spiral. Familiar. The moss beneath your boots grows richer, woven through with threads of silver. You see petals drifting in the air, not falling, just circling, lifted by a current too delicate to name. You see no sun, and yet everything is lit, not brightly, warmly, as if the world here gives off its own glow. You pass beneath an archway of hanging branches, and the moment you do, the scent changes. Rain on old parchment, cedar and frost, blossoms and dust. Ahead, a wide set of steps leads upward, not carved, not constructed, but grown from the roots of some impossibly vast tree whose trunk you have not yet seen. Each step is different. Some are smooth and golden, like polished maple. Others are dark and cracked, etched with tiny curling vines. Others are covered in snow, though it does not melt beneath your feet. You climb. With each step, the air shifts, a different season with every rise. Spring, then summer, then a long golden autumn, then a single breath of winter, then spring again. Not cycles, not repetition, but a rhythm. At the top of the staircase, you pass between two wide trunks that curve into a vaulted shape, a door without a door, woven with leaves of every color you've ever known, and a few you haven't. And there it is. The library. You stop, not in awe, in stillness. Because you know immediately, this place does not want to be admired. It wants to be with you. You step inside. There are no walls, only tall, branching structures that spiral upward like trees, their limbs filled not with leaves, but with shelves. Shelves of what appear to be books, but they are not books. Each one is different. One is a bundle of feathers, bound by a single thread. One is a stone, flat and smooth, pulsing faintly, with light that matches your breath. One is a sphere of woven twigs that buzzes softly when you draw near. One is a vial of scent, corked with frost. One is a folded map, drawn in wind, and still, you know these are books. You reach for one at random, a small parcel wrapped in velvet, held shut by a single button of wood. When you open it, it sighs, and you remember the sound of the first tree you ever climbed. The laughter you didn't know, you still held. The color of your favorite sunrise, one you haven't seen yet. You close the parcel, the feeling remains. You walk through the stacks, and the seasons shift around you. In one aisle, the air is thick with summer, ripe and green and buzzing. In the next, leaves fall constantly, though they vanish before touching the ground. In another, snow crunches under your steps, and each breath glows like a secret. There are other travelers here, few, quiet, soft-eyed. Some sit on branches, reading folded scrolls made of rain. Some walk backward through their memories, tracing them aloud for the shelves to record. No one speaks unless the library asks them to, and the library rarely asks. At the far edge of the space, you find a desk, low, curved, made from a single loop of root. Behind it, a figure, tall, still, hooded in moss and moonlight. They look up as you approach, not surprised, not expectant, just present. You reach into your pocket and offer them the scroll. They do not touch it. They simply nod. The scroll unfolds in midair and begins to spin, slowly, glowing softly, with the colors of every place you've walked. The river, the grove, the altar, the moons, the bridge. The figure speaks. Their voice is not sound, it is weather. A warm gust through pine, a crisp breeze over dry fields, a hush of snow falling into leaves. They say, "You may shelve this, if you are ready." You nod, and the scroll folds again. But this time, not into seed, into book. Your book. It hovers beside you, waiting for your hands. You take it. It hums in your palms. The shelf beside you glows, a perfect fit. You place the book. It breathes once, then rests, and somewhere, a new season begins. Not outside, inside. You turn away from the shelf and walk once more through the corridors of spiraling branches and sleeping memory. You are not collecting stories now. You are being remembered. One final door waits at the back of the library, shaped like an open hand. As you pass through it, the air shifts once more. You look back. The library is gone. No, not gone. Sleeping, waiting, and within you, a copy of your book glows softly, not to be read, to be continued. You step out from the dreaming hush of the seasonal library into a silence that is not void, but velvet. It greets you not with space, but with softness. A hush that doesn't press or stretch. It receives you, holds you, the way a dream does just before it fades, when you are still within it and it within you. The air is cool here, cool like the inside of a cave where light has never burned, cool like stone after midnight. But it is not cold. It is comforting. You breathe it in, and it feels like moonlight poured into lungs. You walk. The world around you is vast and open, but not barren. Hills roll like the backs of slumbering giants, and strange stones rise like frozen bells from the earth. Wide at the base, narrowing near the top, smooth and chalk-colored, each one humming with a song that can only be heard when you're not listening. And ahead of you, a faint glow, not from above, from beneath. It rises slowly, like light remembered by the soil, or breath exhaled by stars. You crest a final hill, and there it is, the lake. You stop, not because you mean to, because you must. The sight stills you from the inside out. It stretches wide, farther than any valley should hold. Its edges are not hard, not outlined. The water bleeds softly into the shore, like memory blending into dream. The surface of the lake is not water, not truly. It is starlight, or rather, it is what remains after starlight. Dim glows drift slowly across the surface, suspended just beneath, soft floating lights the size of your palm, or smaller. Some pulse like sleeping fireflies, others flicker in long, slow waves, like lullabies with no melody. Above the sky is nearly dark, not storm dark, but gentle. The stars are few here, as if they know this is where they come to sleep. The moon, a thin silver arc, watches quietly from high above, a single eyelid, half closed. You descend toward the lake. The shore is soft, made of crushed stone and ash-colored moss. It sighs beneath your steps, not audibly, but with pressure. You can feel it beneath your feet, the way sand might hold footprints, but never complain about the weight. You kneel, dip your hand in the water. It is warm. Surprisingly, it holds the exact temperature of the inside of a memory, one that once made you cry, but no longer does. The starlight beneath your hand drifts closer, curious. It brushes your fingers, and in that moment, you see, not with your eyes, not in your mind, but with something older, softer, a field, a figure, a song hummed through years you've never lived, a child lifting a lantern into the sky and letting it go, a moon lowering itself into a well just to listen to one last wish, yourself standing at the edge of a moment you never noticed until now. You breathe in, and the vision fades. The star drifts away, another floats near. This one doesn't glow, it shimmers. You place both hands in the water now, and the lake responds. Dozens of stars, sleeping stars, drift toward you slow and reverent, like fish in a dream pool. They form a loose circle around your reflection. You look down, and you do not see yourself. You see versions of yourself, flickering, layered, echoing through one another, like transparent songs. One wears robes of wind, one has hair made of ash and light. One is still a child, holding a scroll tight to their chest. One is old, older than time, eyes closed in a smile that never needed answers. They all look at you, then look through you, and the stars drift apart again, leaving you alone, but not lonely. You rise, and follow a soft path of stone that curls around the lake's edge. You pass others, not many. Some kneel beside the shore, whispering to the stars. Some sleep with heads on moss-covered stones, starlight curling softly around them like cats. Some stand in the water, waist deep, unmoving, faces turned to the sky, as if waiting for something to descend. Not light, but permission. You walk on. You find a circle of trees. 5, each different. One bears fruit made of paper and ink. One has bark of mirrored glass. One weeps softly, not with water, but with small silver leaves that fall and vanish before touching ground. One is dead, but the wind hums through its bones like a flute, and the last tree has no visible form. You can only see it when you don't try. When you blur your eyes and still your thoughts, it appears, a ghost of a tree, made of memory alone. You sit at its roots, though there are none, and rest your head against its trunk. Though there is nothing there, you close your eyes, and the lake enters you. Not the water, the knowing of every star that ever shone too long, of every light that needed a place to rest, of every soul that mistook burning for becoming. You see now that the lake is not a resting place. It is a homecoming, a long breath drawn over eons, a cradle built of silence and return. You feel something in your palm. You look. The seed you've carried since the spiral altar now glows again, brighter, but softer. Its surface has changed. It now reflects the stars, not in the sky, in the water. It is ready, not to be planted, to be released. You rise, step carefully into the shallows. The water does not chill, it welcomes. You kneel in the lake, cup your hands, place the seed upon its surface. It floats, drifts gently away, and begins to glow. Not brightly, but fully. It joins the other stars beneath the water, and becomes a part of the dream. You watch, and the stars around it pulse, once, in slow celebration. Somewhere deep inside you, something ancient unclenches, and you are lightened. Not emptied, returned. You step out of the water. The moss at the edge blooms under your feet. You take one last look at the lake, not because you are saying goodbye, because you will carry its mirror with you now, forever. You turn, and the path ahead appears. Soft, silver, not a road, a ripple, like moonlight stretched across an ocean that never ends. You walk forward, and far behind you, a star sighs in its sleep. The path from the lake is narrower than you expected. Not a road, not a trail, but a crease in the world, as though reality folded slightly to let you slip through. You don't remember stepping onto it, you only realize you are already walking. The sky above you is not night or day. It is a deep velvet hush, blue ink spread across the heavens, with stars barely pulsing, as if resting between heartbeats. The moon has vanished again, perhaps sleeping beneath the lake, perhaps watching from behind the world. The air grows cooler with every step, not colder, just slower, as if the atmosphere itself has remembered that it too once breathed. Around you, the landscape flattens, then rises, then flattens again. Waves of land, undulating like the sea slowed to stone. Grasses bend in a wind you do not feel, as if bowing to something approaching from far beyond your sight. Ahead, the path lifts, one last ascent, not steep, not urgent. It curves like a question, gently rising into the mouth of the horizon. You climb, and as you do, you begin to feel it. A sound, not in your ears, in your bones. A vibration, subtle and low, not humming, not shaking, but remembering. You place your palm to your chest, and the lantern there flickers once, in answer. The scroll within your pocket is warmer now. The book you placed in the library of seasons still echoes through your fingertips. The lake, the seed, the spiral, the staircase, they are all with you. You reach the top of the hill, and you see it, the edge of the world. It isn't a cliff, it's a ring, a wide circle of white stone, smooth and unbroken, set into the earth like a seal. Moss grows between the etched lines, and fine cracks run through the surface like veins in an ancient map. At its center, a bell. It is not large, no taller than your shoulder. Suspended from a curved wooden frame, one half blackened like char, the other smooth and silver like driftwood bleached by time. The bell is made of no metal. You know, it gleams like pearl in shadow. It does not hang still, it breathes. It sways ever so slightly, not from wind, not from touch, but as if moved by a rhythm beyond the skin of the world. You step into the ring, and the bell stills. The air is different here, not heavy, not light. It is full. You kneel at the edge of the stone circle. Something within you opens, not a door, not a memory, a space, a silence, and into it, something pours. You see the face of someone you loved and forgot, a mountain you have never climbed, but always dreamed of, a promise you made when you were very small and very brave, the shape of your own shadow when it first learned to dance in the moonlight. And beneath it all, you hear the bell, not ringing, not yet, but preparing. You rise and walk toward it. Your hands do not shake, they wait. You reach for the rope. It is not frayed, it is soft. As you grip it, the bell begins to glow, not with light, but with memory. You pull, once. The sound that emerges is unlike anything you've heard. It does not echo, it does not chime, it returns. It wraps around you like water, like night, like the wind from every mountaintop that ever knew your name before you did. It is not loud, but it reaches. You feel the sound move across the land behind you, rippling across the bridge of dreams, the library, the chamber, the lake. You feel it touch each place you've been, and you feel them respond. The lantern in your chest glows again. The seed, now resting somewhere beyond the lake, pulses once beneath the water. The stones that remembered your name begin to hum. The staircase in the sky curls back into view, glowing faintly like the spine of the night. The bell has called them all, not to summon, to remember. You let go, and the sound fades, but something within you remains. The bell's voice now lives inside your breath. Each inhale carries 1,000 stories. Each exhale is a letting go. You turn from the bell and find the world behind you, changed, not in form, in knowing. Every path you've walked now glows faintly in the distance, a constellation upon the land. You see the river, the grove, the altar, the temple, the bridge, the chamber, the library, the lake. All of it has answered the bell. All of it is with you now. You kneel once more beside the bell, and it speaks a second time. This time, not to the world, to you. A low note, so low it sounds like the echo of your first dream. And in that note, you understand. There is nothing to finish. There is only to return. Not backward, not forward, just deeper. You step out of the circle. The stars begin to fall, not fast, not to end, to come home. They descend like feathers, glowing as they drift, one by one, toward the edges of the ring. Some vanish into the soil. Others land upon your shoulders and melt into warmth. One lands in your palm and stays. It is not a star. It is a key. Small, silver, shaped like a breath. You do not ask what it opens. You already know. It opens the last door. The one that isn't built yet. The one you must now walk toward. Not with questions. With peace. The bell no longer moves. It has spoken. The edge of the world has heard. And now the last dream begins. You take your first step away from the bell, and the world begins to dim, not into darkness, but into deepness. Everything becomes quieter. The stars stop falling. The wind slows, and the sky no longer waits. It simply is. There is no marked trail now. No forest edge, no glowing signposts, only space. The ground beneath your feet has softened again. Not to moss, not to stone, but to something more like memory made gentle. It doesn't press upward. It accepts you. Each step is an echo, but the echo is not loud. It is soft, circular, the sound of returning to a place you never left. Not fully, above. The sky begins to open in ways you can't describe. The stars draw closer, not physically, not in distance, but in intimacy. They no longer shine for you. They sit with you. One by one they dim slightly, not extinguished, but folding into themselves, resting, as if they too have told their part of the story. And now it is your turn to rest, not with finality, but with wholeness. You come to a field, or perhaps a space, a wide round place where the land dips gently, like a palm cupped around stillness. There is no center, and yet you feel where you are meant to go. So you walk into the middle and lie down. The sky looks down, but it does not watch. It simply knows you. The stars hum gently, the hum of leaves on a forgotten path, of paper worn soft at the edges, of rivers under ice. The earth beneath you breathes. One slow inhale, one even slower exhale. You breathe with it, and the shape of the journey, the spiral of all that you've remembered, begins to gently unfurl inside you. You see again the moss that glowed with your first step, the glyphs on trees that turned to read you, the lantern grove where memory floated, the spiral meadow of sleeping seeds, the staircase that rose into stillness, the ruins that hovered between dreams, the wind that sang your name, the moons that listened, the bridge that drifted, the chamber that waited, the library that listened, the lake that welcomed light, the bell that gathered every echo. You do not revisit these places. They revisit you. Each one is no longer outside. It lives now in your breath, in your hands, in your step, in the stillness that now begins to settle into your bones. You feel it now, the truth of all of this. You were never walking toward a place. You were becoming it. The grove, the bridge, the sky, the bell, they were echoes of your own remembering. Not destinations, but reflections. And now, there is no more need to walk. The path curls around you like a cloak, like a song reaching its last note. Not loud, not sharp, but soft. Held, and slowly, you begin to dim too. Not into darkness, but into peace. The light you carry dims into a glow. The seed becomes still. The scroll breathes once more, and rests. You lie there. The stars gather close. They no longer shine. They sleep. And you join them. Breath slowing, mind drifting, not falling, floating. You are no longer a traveler. You are now part of the forest. The sky, the lake, the bell, the breath. You are the soft circle at the end of the spiral. The pause between story and sleep. And as the last star sighs and the silence curls in, the dream becomes you.